Hey, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mike.
And we're the Nfgeeks.
Yes. Back again to talk about... And what are we going to talk about, Dave?
Love.
Sure. It's certainly in the air.
Oh, yes. And the Myers-Briggs.
Of course, because, a bajillion videos is not enough. YouTube definitely needs more Myers-Briggs videos.
I'd say so.
Absolutely. Okay, Dave, for this episode's topic, I thought it would be fun to talk about our trials and tribulations in being Myers-Briggs evangelists.
Oh, goody.
Okay. As many people are into the Myers-Briggs knows, I think, the Myers-Briggs is not always accepted in many different circles. And these could be from friendships to academic and scholarly circles, but certainly sometimes the door is slammed in our face.
Yes.
About this, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about our personal experiences with this and why we think this is about the Myers-Briggs and why we have trouble with it. I think I've been a hardcore, like a really hardcore evangelist of it for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I've always known about it. I've known about it for about 20 years, and I got more interested in it about 5 years ago, and really pushing it like we're pushing it now for about 2 years, like really just incorporating it into everything in my life, and into all my relationships. So, Dave, let's start with you. What have been some of your experiences where you brought up the Myers-Briggs and people were not as open?
Well, there's a specific group of friends, and if they're watching this, probably already know who they are.
No.
Where it was when I was really starting to get back into the Myers-Briggs, because I originally taken it like a couple of years back. But now, but around this time, I had really gotten back into it, and I started to understand it more. So out of curiosity, I posted the human metrics test, which I guess became vouched seems to be the most accurate, free one on the internet.
Certainly our personal favorite.
Oh yes, and it I put it on their Facebooks, and I told them, take this and see if it fits you, and we'll, just out of curiosity. And they didn't. I guess a friend of theirs, like years ago, tried to do the same thing to them, and they felt like it was the Myers-Briggs was just pigeonholing them, and was typecasting like their entire personality or whatever, and it just didn't jive with them. So they had a very poor experience previously and had built up a lot of resistance towards it. So it was difficult, and I still don't know their Myers-Briggs because they've refused to take it.
They refused?
Yeah.
Yes, I've encountered refusals as well, yes.
Yeah. But I also think they're afraid of what it might say. I mean, a lot of people originally think it's just going to say a lot of bad things about them, and that's not the truth at all, pretty much. But yeah, that's always stuck out in my mind. So I usually just tried to be a little more subtle, telling new people about it. I'd like to explain it to them and how awesome it is, and then it's like, oh, if you're interested, then, take it, instead of just like, here, take this, on a Facebook post. Yeah, what about you? What would be your tribulations?
A couple. One of the ones that sticks out in my mind was really almost 10 years ago, before I started my 2 master's degree programs and my PhD program that I'm in now. I was actually getting a master's degree in psychology, and I was about halfway through a master's degree in psychology before I dumped psychology for other things. And I remember distinctly it being in an advanced research methods class, a class that you would want to put a gun in your mouth.
Oh.
Okay, unless you're, I don't know, an NT, I guess. But it was really miserable. But it was actually a class that also had faculty in it too, to brush up on their research methods. This is quantitative research method stuff.
Right.
So correlation coefficients and multiple regressions and all that kind of thing. And we were talking about validity and reliability, and somehow relating it to personality theory. And of course, this is psychology, proper. So it's really all. It was all at that time. It was all about the 5-factor model and the 5 different source traits that are in the five-factor model. And one of the faculty members was sort of dogging the Myers-Briggs and sort of associating it with astrology. And which I don't know about you, Dave, and I don't know about the audience, but I hear that a lot, often. This was the first time I really heard it, and it was really the first time it really resonated with me that something was wrong, because I really, I wasn't as into it 10 years ago as I am now, but I had already had experiences of it, and it really left a bad taste in my mouth that this particular faculty member was sort of dogging the Myers-Briggs, because it really seemed to me that that did not resonate with me, that the Myers-Briggs was tapping on something, that everybody who really understood it seemed to like be tapping into something. And this person was sort of making fun of it, not even about the validity of it, but basically making fun of the research tool. Right. The Myers-Briggs, the Myers-Briggs survey that you take. They're really making fun of that. So that was the first time I felt negativity toward it that I didn't agree with. But I've had all sorts of funny things happen to me with it. For example, Dave, as you know, I've been dating over the past year and a half. Dated a lot of women, and I actually make women take the Myers-Briggs, or a version of the Myers-Briggs. And some already know about it and know their type, and others take it sort of in a weird way just to see what the hell I'm talking about. And others have flat out not taken it and stopped talking to me and corresponding. Yes, I have lost potential dates over this. Yeah, it's true. But I said go. I let them go. But some people were offended by it. And I also have found people to be afraid of what it's going to say about them. So let's talk about that for a minute. What do you think they're afraid it's going to say? Because I'm so embedded in it now, I know what all the types are, and I know the four temperaments, and so I know it's going to say something good no matter what it is. I'm very familiar with it. But what are people afraid of?
You got me, really. I mean, they really haven't been specific as to what they're afraid of. When I ask them, well, what do you think it's going to say? It's not going to say anything bad. And they're just like, So I really haven't encountered why that is. I mean, I think maybe they just have a secret about themselves that they think is just gonna like come up in this, and it's like, oh, by the way, so and so, it's a closet homosexual, or abused his cat when he was like 3. It's like what? It's not that specific at all, nor does it like really go into any. It boggles my mind. It really does. I really don't know what they think it would say. Though I have asked them, and they I think it's just fear out of some hidden secret that they want to know. I mean, unless do you have any idea what that might be?
No, it's tough because I've been taking the Myers-Briggs so long. I can't remember in my own history at a time when I was afraid of it. And I don't think I would have been afraid of it. I just would have taken it and just said, okay, whatever. Because that's how I am now, and I've always been with, if I'm trying a new personality test or even something silly, on the, something on Facebook, which KISS member are you? Some silly Facebook thing, I just take it with a grain of salt. So I would have went through it. If I had a fear, I don't know. It was like 20 years ago, so I can't remember. There's never been a time where I wasn't sort of accepting it. So people's rejection of it is very alien to me.
Yeah.
In that sense. I also agree with you. I think it's some kind of fear that something is going to be revealed and they're going to be humiliated by it. Yeah. In some way. It's going to say something about them they're not going to like, or it's going to say something about them they don't think is true, but they'll be embarrassed by it anyway. I do think they're afraid it will tell them they're gay. I think we're talking about younger people, young men anyway, who are still sort of feeling the castration anxiety a bit. I think we're talking about young men, men in their, like your age and younger. I think they might be particularly worried that it would say that. Of course it doesn't, but that's why we know that. I also find sometimes people, and just like that instructor, that faculty member that I mentioned from my original graduate experience, some people equate the Myers-Briggs with astrology, that it's operating on the same level as astrology, or worse, and not even good astrology. Where they talk about the houses, basically the level of astrology you get in the newspaper.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, and so first of all, have you ever faced that with people talking about, totally dogging the validity of the Myers-Briggs?
I vaguely dogging the validity. I mean, they'll say like it's crap, and I've never had a direct comparison to astrology, but I've had encountered friends that criticize it. Like that same group of friends. There's one friend in particular that was saying when he took it, he took it, and I guess he had his description read, or not even his description read. Like the person that made him take it told him what his letters meant, and he's like, this seems like crap. I don't know if he got the right letters or not. But it seems that was the closest I have ever gotten to someone really challenging its validity. Well, not even challenging it, just criticizing it.
Yeah, and actually that kind of speaks to maybe one of the issues of the Myers-Briggs is that if it's suffering, or any of the typology tests that are related to the Myers-Briggs functions, it's the reliability of it is dependent on how well the person taking it is self-aware.
Yeah.
Anyone, so even if you talk about the human metrics one, if we're just talking about that free one, how well that one works is dependent on how self-aware the person is. If the person is very self-aware, you'll get a very accurate representation of what the actual 4 letters are. I think when people are not as self-aware, it's a little harder, because you always end up answering what you wish you were, or how you think you are, as opposed to how you actually are.
I have one friend in particular where he was struggling to take it because he didn't know how to answer the question, pretty much,
Yeah, and that's probably from that fear too.
Yeah.
About answering it, not wanting to pick one over the other, or what one means if I pick one over the other.
Yeah, or like, I think also one of the problems would be like they're striving to either say make the person making them take it, say for instance me, happy, or trying to strive for like some ideal in their head, and it's not fitting with that ideal. Like for one, it was one question this specific person was tripping up on was whether you whether you like to be with people, or if you like you're in a crowded room, are you more off to the side or in the center of the room?
Right. It's one of those introverted, extroverted questions.
Yeah, and he's like, well, it depends. And I go, well, which one do you do most often? And he goes, well, it's 50-50. And I go, I don't think so.
No.
It's never 50-50. You do have a preference.
Right. It might even be 49-51.
Yeah.
But it's never 50-50.
No. I mean, like I said before in one of the videos, I was in ENTP the very first time I took it. Which is what one of my ideal matches you mentioned, which is kind of funny, but
yeah, there's some kind of weird projection going on there with that.
Yeah, and I'll admit I was projecting. I was like 17 when I first took it, so. But thinking back now, like that's absurd. I am definitely not an E, nor
a T,
nor am I a T or a P.
No, you're very J.
Yeah, I'm very J. So,
as we discovered earlier today.
But that's another video.
Yeah, really.
But no, it's so. Yeah, you do have to be honest with yourself, and it's just like when I encounter circumstances with those people, I just don't even. I don't force them at that point. I'm just like, well, if you don't feel comfortable taking it, you don't have to, Well, I say that anyway, but when they're really starting to struggle with that, I kind of empathize with them because, I'd rather have an accurate reading than, someone completely just like you said, projecting, just wanting to be how they were instead of how they are.
And with that, we're at our end, Dave.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, all right. I'm Dave. This is Mike.
That's right.
Nfgeeks.
Keep evangelizing.